If you fit in that dress, I will marry you." The Arab billionaire laughed. People thought it was a joke when Mr. Hakimi, the proud Arab billionaire, pointed at the tiny red dress in front of everyone and stated, "Were you able to fit into that dress, I would marry you." Then he laughed at Maya as if she were dirt on his shoe. The entire hall joined him in laughter. Phones were produced. People whispered, "Look at her, look at the maid," as though humiliating a black woman was a form of amusement. Maya stood there with her cleaning cart, her hands trembling, her eyes stinging, attempting with all her might not to cry in front of the very people who disregarded her feelings as if they were of no consequence. But what no one knew, not even Hakim himself, was that the words he tossed out with arrogance would eventually return to him. That night, something awakened within Maya. Something powerful, something painful, something that refused to remain insignificant. And months later, when she re-entered his world, she was no longer the woman he had ridiculed. She was the woman who carried truth in her hands, truth that could dismantle a man who believed his wealth made him untouchable. And when Hakim finally perceived what awaited him, he was the one who could not remain composed. He was the one pleading for breath because the very woman he had laughed at was on the verge of upending his life, and the entire world would witness it. Dear viewers, this story will deeply resonate with your hearts in unexpected ways. It will broaden your perspective and demonstrate how a fleeting moment of pain can ignite the genesis of a profound transformation. So, accompany us until the very conclusion. You will not want to miss what transpires next. The sound of laughter still lingered in the air when Maya found herself standing in the center of the grand hall, her cleaning cart stationed beside her. Her hands felt heavy, her chest constricting, and her legs almost refused to obey her command. She could still distinctly hear Hakim's voice, resonant and confident, as though her distress held no more significance than a trivial jest to him. The attendees continued to murmur, chuckling softly, retrieving their mobile devices, and pointing at her as if she were a character from a caricature. Maya kept her gaze lowered. Yet she felt the weight of every single observation upon her. Her heart did not race. It simply ached. A slow, profound discomfort that settled within her chest like a dense stone. She yearned to vanish. She longed to inhale freely. She wished the floor would split open and engulf her. However, she remained rooted to her spot, knowing that fleeing would offer them further justification for their amusement. The magnificent chandelier suspended above suffused the hall with a warm, golden luminescence. But to Maya, the ambiance felt distinctly chilled. The women adorned in their flowing gowns edged away from her, as though her attire harbored some form of contamination. The men regarded her with perplexed expressions, as if unable to comprehend why a member of the cleaning staff would dare to exhibit human emotion. Hakim remained positioned near the scarlet dress, a self-satisfied smile gracing his lips, basking in the attention. His golden rings caught the light. His expensive perfume perfumed the atmosphere, and his self-assurance settled upon him like an ostentatious crown. Maya swallowed with difficulty, compelling her feet to advance. She propelled the cart with deliberation toward the service exit, her eyes fixated on the floor. Each movement felt akin to lifting an immense weight. A guffaw erupted from behind her. Someone whispered, "She ought to be thankful he even noticed her." Another remarked, "This is the most engaging entertainment I've experienced all evening." Their voices pursued her like disembodied shadows. Upon finally pushing open the discreet service door, the clamor from the main hall receded. The rear corridor was hushed, cool, and deserted. She permitted the door to swing shut behind her, placed both palms flat against the wall, and surrendered to the cascade of her tears. Her shoulders heaved, her breaths grew ragged, and she felt her entire being succumb to a profound melancholy she had harbored for years. She wept softly, dabbing her eyes with the back of her hand. She glanced down at her uniform, the identical gray fabric she had donned for the preceding 6 years. It hung loosely on her frame, concealing every contour, masking every facet of her that once harbored dreams of vibrancy and elegance. She recalled the crimson gown displayed in the hall, gleaming under the illumination, fashioned for someone who inhabited a reality vastly distant from her own. For a fleeting instant, she felt minuscule, exceedingly small. Yet, an intrinsic force within her chest resisted complete diminishment. She straightened her posture, wiped her face once more, and willed herself to inhale. It was painful, but she breathed. Maya pressed her hand against her sternum. She envisioned her mother at home, seated in her customary armchair by the window. She recollected the medical expenses, the hospital visits, the perpetual dread of financial instability. She labored for individuals who remained utterly oblivious to her existence, individuals who dispensed hurtful remarks with careless abandon. And she endured it because she had no alternative. This particular evening felt distinct. This evening inflicted a deeper wound. This evening felt like a boundary she could no longer disregard. Maya proceeded to the staff lounge and occupied a seat in a plastic chair adjacent to the lockers. Her hands still trembled. She closed her eyes and articulated, "Why me? Why tonight?" However, she already knew the reason. Affluent individuals required an object for their derision, someone easily targeted, someone unlikely to retaliate. She opened her eyes and consulted the clock. Her scheduled work period had not yet concluded, but she understood she could not venture back into that setting. Her face remained damp. Her uniform was still creased, and she felt too utterly devastated to stand with dignity. She retrieved her mobile device. It vibrated incessantly. A knot formed in her stomach. She activated the screen, and the initial image that greeted her was her own likeness featured on a stranger's Twitter profile. The clip had already achieved widespread viewership. Someone had furnished it with the caption, "0." The commentary was abundant. Some individuals expressed amusement. Others resorted to disparaging remarks. However, a significant number, far exceeding her expectations, were defending her. One comment read, "1-to-1." Another inquired, "2." A third individual penned, "3." Maya covered her mouth, emitting a soft, broken sob. She had never sought the spotlight. She harbored no desire for confrontation. Her sole aspiration was to perform her duties and return home. She remained seated for an extended duration, acutely aware of the distress slowly permeating her being, much like an open wound struggling to draw breath. She contemplated Hakim's smile, his laughter, his voice, and a profound alteration commenced within her. For the first time in many years, her sorrow mingled with something else. Something warm, something incandescent, something that repelled her tears. She whispered gently, "No more." Her voice quivered, but the words carried an unshakable resolve. No more degradation. No more suppressed anguish. No more pretense of insignificance. Maya arose from the chair. Her legs still felt feeble, but her spirit felt transformed. She met her own gaze in the modest mirror positioned above the sink. A weary woman regarded her, a woman burdened by years of hardship. Yet, a novel quality flickered in her eyes, a quiet fortitude she had long forgotten. She collected her belongings, formally concluded her work shift, and stepped out into the crisp New York evening. The wind caressed her skin, prompting her to draw her lightweight jacket closer. She ambled towards the bus stop, mentally replaying the events of the evening. Every burst of laughter, every hushed remark, every cruel expression paraded through her thoughts. But rather than crushing her, they served to fortify her resolve. Aboard the bus, she occupied a window seat, observing the city lights glide past. Her phone continued its persistent buzzing, but she refrained from checking it again. She placed it on her lap and gazed forward. Hakim's words echoed persistently in her mind. "Ni nanai." She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. By the time the bus reached the Bronx, one certainty had crystallized within her. She would return in 30 days. Not for him, not for their validation, but for herself. She entered her modest apartment quietly. Her mother was asleep in the living room, a soft lamp casting its glow beside her. Maya gently draped a blanket over her mother, bestowed a kiss upon her forehead, and whispered, Quote 1. Then she moved to the kitchen, sat at the old wooden table, opened her laptop, and slowly typed, Quote Boin Tastu. Her entire odyssey commenced with that solitary search. The aging laptop emitted a faint whirring sound as Maya sat in her small kitchen, her gaze fixed upon the screen. The room was silent, save for the soft rhythm of her mother's breathing emanating from the living room. Maya wiped her face with the sleeve of her garment, inhaled deeply, and typed once more, this time with increased deliberation. Hakim's scandals. She pressed the enter key and waited. The initial search results displayed dazzling photographs of Hakim in the company of prominent individuals. Some depicted him aboard a yacht, others showed him at charitable gatherings, smiling for the cameras. In every image, he exuded power, appearing as a man who believed himself impervious to any adversity. Maya contemplated the pictures for a considerable duration. Each one felt like a stinging rebuke. She scrolled downward with measured slowness. A few minutes elapsed before she encountered something different. A diminutive link emanating from a minor online forum, another link from an employee grievance website, and yet another from a page she had never previously encountered. The titles were concise. Some alluded to unpaid laborers. Others mentioned abrupt dismissals. One spoke of confidential settlements. Maya clicked on the first link. It revealed an account from an individual who claimed to have formerly been employed by Hakim's enterprise. They detailed extended working hours, inequitable treatment, and an unexpected termination following their refusal of an unspecified request. The narrative lacked extensive detail, but the palpable distress conveyed through the words felt authentic. She clicked on another link, and then another. Each story conveyed a similar sentiment: fear, silence, and loss. She leaned back in her chair, pressing a hand to her forehead. She whispered softly, "This cannot be real." Yet, deep within, she knew it was. The clock on the wall indicated 2 a.m, but Maya felt entirely alert. Something had shifted within her. She no longer perceived herself merely as a domestic worker who had been ridiculed in a hall filled with strangers. She saw herself poised at the precipice of something grander, something she did not fully comprehend, but something that propelled her forward. She continued reading until her eyes grew weary. Upon discovering the name Yara Collins, she paused. The page presented a news article dated 3 years prior. Yara had initiated legal proceedings against Hakim's corporation, alleging harassment. The case was resolved discreetly, with no specifics divulged. Her hands trembled slightly as she perused the information. She investigated everything connected to Yara. She discovered an old Instagram profile and a deleted blog, but one link led to a modest blog that was still operational. The author remained anonymous, yet the writing style felt distinctly personal. The entries spoke of anguish, unjust authority, silent endurance, and the dread of voicing one's concerns. Maya absorbed each post with deliberate slowness. She empathized with the writer's suffering as if it resonated within her own heart. Eventually, she opened the messaging interface and composed a brief note. "Hello, my name is Maya. I believe you understand what occurred to me this evening. I need to speak with you." She transmitted the message, "Harbor IMG, no expectations." However, 2 hours later, as she had dozed off at the table, her forehead resting on her arms, her phone began to ring. She startled, her heart constricting. She softly answered, "Hello," making an effort not to awaken her mother. A woman's voice emanated from the receiver. Gentle, weary, yet firm. "You are the woman in the video, correct?" the voice inquired. Maya felt her breath hitch. "Yes, that is me." The woman exhaled. "I viewed it," she stated quietly, "and it shattered something within me. My name is Yara. Maya clutched the phone tightly. Why did you send me a message? Yara asked. Because I believe what happened to me is not an isolated incident, Maya responded softly. And I suspect you possess knowledge that I need to comprehend. A lengthy silence ensued. Maya waited, uncertain if Yara would speak again. Finally, Yara declared, Meet me tomorrow. I need to see your face before I divulge anything. The same pain. Do you comprehend? The same pain. Maya closed her eyes and whispered, Thank you. After the call concluded, she sat in quiet contemplation, allowing her thoughts to settle. She surveyed the modest kitchen, the fractured tiles, the aged timber table, the solitary light bulb suspended overhead. She felt exhausted, but for the first time in a considerable period, a faint luminescence ignited within her, a subtle reservoir of fortitude. The subsequent morning commenced before the first rays of dawn. Her alarm blared at 5 a.m. The sound was abrupt, yet Maya rose slowly, her body still aching from the prior night. She donned her athletic attire and secured her hair. She glanced at her mother, still slumbering, a rare picture of tranquility. She draped a blanket over her mother's legs and murmured, I shall return shortly. The trek to the gymnasium was bracing. The early morning air nipped at her skin, yet it invigorized her mind. She arrived at the modest gym structure, its windows misted from the warmth within. As she pushed the door open, Rita was already present, repositioning weights on the rack. Rita looked up and raised an eyebrow. You returned, she commented, expressing both surprise and pleasure. I have 30 days, Maya replied softly. I must commence immediately. Rita folded her arms and nodded. Why the shift in attire? She inquired, not unkindly, but with an astute perceptiveness. Maya swallowed. Because someone wagered I could not accomplish this. Rita offered a faint smile. Then we shall make them regret that doubt. But you must heed my guidance each day. No exceptions. Maya nodded. Her chest tightened, not with apprehension, but with resolute determination. The training session that morning proved arduous. Maya's legs quivered. Her arms felt leaden. Sweat trickled down her brow. She longed to desist on numerous occasions, but she persevered. Each instance she faltered, she recalled the derisive laughter in the hall, the accusatory gestures, Hakimi's smirk. She continued to move. After 2 hours, she could scarcely stand. Rita proffered her a bottle of water. Your body is fatigued, but your spirit is resilient, she stated. You are capable of this. Maya smiled faintly, breathing heavily. Thank you. As she departed the gymnasium, her phone vibrated. A message from Yara. Meet me at Richmond Cafe at 2 p.m. Maya typed a reply. I shall be there. She returned home, refreshed herself, prepared her mother's midday meal, and rested for 1 hour. When the appointed time arrived, she boarded the train to Queens. Her palms felt clammy. Her stomach churned with anxiety. Richmond Cafe exuded a tranquil ambiance, underscored by soft, melodious music. Yara occupied a secluded booth. She was attired in a simple black blouse, her hair neatly swept back. Her countenance bore a weary beauty, reminiscent of someone who had endured considerable hardship. As Maya approached, Yara rose slowly. She observed Maya as if seeking something. Pain, authenticity, fortitude. Finally, she nodded. Please sit. We have much to discuss. Maya sat down. Her heart felt heavy, yet resolute. She understood this encounter would be transformative. Yara leaned forward, her voice hushed. Hakimi is not merely negligent. He poses a significant threat, and you must be apprised of the truth before proceeding further. Maya's fingers tightened around her cup. Her breathing deepened. She whispered, Tell me everything. And Yara did. The cafe felt warm in contrast to the frigid street outside. Yet Maya experienced a different kind of chill within her chest. She sat opposite Yara, observing the woman stir her tea with slow, weary motions. A prolonged silence ensued before Yara eventually met her gaze. Her eyes were dark and profound, the kind that held narratives no one desired to recount. "You seek the truth?" Yara inquired softly, her voice serene yet laden with gravity. Maya nodded once, steadily, prepared, even though her hands trembled discreetly beneath the table. Yara inhaled deeply. Hakimi does not inflict harm inadvertently. He deliberately causes suffering because he believes he possesses immunity. He presumes no one can challenge him, she articulated. Her tone was measured, yet pain infused every utterance. I was employed by him for 2 years. I witnessed occurrences I wished to forget. Maya pressed her palms together on her lap. "What did he do to you?" she asked quietly. Yara averted her gaze momentarily. When she lifted her head again, her voice faltered slightly. "He treated me as though I were inferior, as though my time, my security, my peace held no consequence. When I resisted him, he rendered my existence tumultuous. Extended nights, additional labor, veiled insults exchanged in secluded chambers. Subsequently, he terminated my employment and disseminated falsehoods to impede my ability to secure alternative work. I was left with no recourse but to pursue legal action. Yet I was compensated to remain silent. The truth was interred." Maya felt a profound weight settle within her abdomen. She whispered, "I am genuinely sorry. I truly am." Yara nodded. "I comprehend. However, on that night, as you stood in that hall, as he ridiculed you before all those individuals, something within me awakened. I recalled how insignificant he made me feel, and I could no longer endure his silence." Maya felt her throat constrict. "Why did you agree to meet me?" she inquired. "Because you possess the same expression I once did," Yara responded. "A look of someone weary of internalizing pain." Maya lowered her gaze, blinking slowly. She felt her chest tighten once more, not from sorrow, but from a burgeoning strength. Yara reached into her bag and retrieved a folded piece of paper. She placed it gently on the table. "There is another individual you need to encounter," she stated. "This is Jamal. He served as Hakim's chauffeur for 8 years. He was privy to everything. He overheard conversations he was not meant to comprehend. He is aware of the locations of the genuine secrets." Maya touched the paper with her fingertips. Her hands felt frigid. "Why would he assist me?" she asked. Yara leaned closer. Her voice grew softer but more forceful. "Because Hakimi disregarded his daughter. He terminated her employment for refusing a proposition. He tarnished her reputation. Jamal has been anticipating an opportunity to retaliate. And upon observing your video, he contacted me. He declared, 'The moment has arrived.'" Maya felt a faint tremor course through her arms. It was not fear. It was akin to an awakening, a realization that this was no longer about an article of clothing, nor about humiliation. This was about uncovering the truth. "What if I am unable to do this?" Maya whispered, her voice quivering with candlement. Yara met her gaze. "You can," she said simply, "because you are no longer alone." The words felt like a comforting embrace on a frigid night. Maya inhaled slowly, allowing the solace to permeate her being. Yara stood, her expression softening. "Meet him tomorrow. Converse with him. Listen attentively. He possesses knowledge that can dismantle a man like Hakimi. However, exercise caution. This endeavor is not without its challenges. You require a robust spirit." Maya nodded, her voice low. "I understand." Yara reached out and gently squeezed her hand. Then she departed, leaving Maya seated alone, the paper clutched in her hand. Maya remained at the cafe for a period. She traced the small inscription on the paper with her thumb. Jamal Rivers, a telephone number. She folded it and placed it within her bag. Her heart felt heavy, yet steadfast. Her body felt weary, yet alert. As she exited the cafe, the sky was overcast. The wind brushed against her face, cool and sharp. She walked to the bus stop, contemplating all that Yara had conveyed. Each step felt deliberate, as if her mind required time to process the numerous new truths she had acquired. The bus arrived, and she occupied a seat adjacent to the window once more. She observed individuals traversing the sidewalk. Some appeared weary, some lost, some as if they bore unspoken burdens. She felt a quiet solidarity with them. Upon returning home, her mother was awake, positioned near the window, a blanket encircling her legs. Her mother offered a faint smile upon seeing Maya. "You appear fatigued," her mother remarked. "In truth," Maya whispered, "but I am well." She kissed her mother, assisted her with her meal, and tidied the living area. After ensuring her mother was settled in bed, Maya returned to the kitchen, resumed her seat at the aged table, and placed the folded paper before her. She gazed at it for an extended duration. Then she reached for her phone, took a slow breath, and dialed the number. The phone rang twice before a deep voice responded. "Hello?" Maya hesitated. Her fingers trembled slightly. She stifled the constriction in her throat. "My name is Maya Johnson," she enunciated softly. "Yara advised me to contact you." A prolonged, weighty silence ensued. Then the voice stated quietly, "I have been anticipating your call." Maya tightened her grip on the phone. "I wish to ascertain the truth," she declared. "You shall," Jamal responded. However, not over the telephone. "Meet me tomorrow evening, Maple Street parking lot at 7 o'clock. I will impart all that I know." Maya nodded, though he could not perceive her. "I shall be there." When the call terminated, she placed the phone on the table and rested her forehead in her hands. She experienced a confluence of apprehension and resilience. The feeling that settles in when someone is caught between their past self and the person they are growing to become. She softly spoke, "I can do this." The following morning brought another extended training session with Rita. Rita observed Maya with keen attention, detecting a new intensity in her gaze. "You appear different," Rita commented, as Maya purposefully lifted the weight. "Perhaps I am," Maya responded with quiet sincerity. Rita offered a slight smile. "Whatever is in your mind, hold on to it tightly. It will serve as your anchor when your strength falters." Maya nodded, her breathing heavy as she pushed through another series. Following the workout, after attending to her mother's needs and completing her afternoon duties at the hotel, Maya readied herself for the important meeting. She chose simple attire and secured her hair with a tie. Walking with deliberate steps, she made her way towards Maple Street. The sky darkened as she neared the parking area. Streetlights flickered to life, casting a subdued glow over the vacant spaces. A lone figure stood near a parked vehicle, his shoulders appearing burdened, his posture conveying fatigue. Maya approached further. Jamal slowly turned towards her. Their gazes met, and in that instant, Maya understood she was crossing a threshold from which there was no return. The parking lot was hushed as Maya took her final steps toward Jamal. The atmosphere felt dense, almost motionless, as if the entire location awaited their exchange. A chill wind swept across Maya's face, lifting a small section of her hair. She tucked it behind her ear and paused a short distance from him. Jamal appeared older than Maya had anticipated. His shoulders were stooped, his eyes weary, and the lines etched on his face spoke of burdens carried for many years. He gave a single, slow, gentle nod, a greeting characteristic of someone who had endured too much to maintain pretense. "Quote Saul," he stated quietly. Maya nodded. Quote 1. Jamal surveyed the empty lot before speaking again, his voice low. Quote, a faint tremor ran through Maya's chest. She clasped her hands together. I understand, she replied. Jamal studied her for a moment before remarking softly, Yara informed me of what transpired with you, and I saw the video. I recognize that sense of shame. I have lived with it within my own home. Maya lowered her gaze. I am deeply sorry for what your daughter experienced, she whispered. Jamal nodded slowly, though the pain on his face intensified. My daughter was 23 years old, he said. She worked in Hakim's office. Initially, she was happy. She mentioned the position offered good remuneration. She stated she could assist our family. However, he then began summoning her for private discussions. He requested things she declined to provide. When she refused, he made her professional life unbearable. Subsequently, he dismissed her and conveyed to other companies that she was untrustworthy. She has been unemployed for 6 months. She seldom leaves her room. Maya felt her throat constrict. She pictured a young woman isolated, crushed by a man who believed himself exempt from accountability. Maya whispered, That is unjust. That is not right. Jamal's voice wavered slightly as he responded. Hakimi is indifferent to what is right. His sole concern is victory. He demolishes anyone who obstructs his path. But when I witnessed his actions towards you before all those observers, something within me fractured. He is beyond control, and someone must put a stop to him. Maya looked up slowly. Why me? She inquired softly. Why do you believe I am capable of this? Jamal met her gaze directly. Because you are unafraid to stand alone, he stated. You stood in that hall and still departed with your head held as high as you could manage. You did not falter. You did not yield to him. You reminded me of my daughter before she lost all hope. Maya felt a warmth bloom behind her eyes. She blinked it away and whispered, I wish to assist. I wish to stop him, but I do not know how. Jamal took a measured breath and reached into his coat pocket. He withdrew a small metal key, holding it between his fingers as if it possessed significant power. This, he said, belongs to Hakimi's personal counsel. The attorney maintains a tangible copy of Hakimi's private files, documents, correspondence, and records, items that Hakimi utilizes for his protection. Maya gazed at the key, her breath escaping slowly and steadily. Why do you possess this? She asked. Jamal looked down at the key, his expression softening. I found it in his automobile, he explained. The lawyer places too much confidence in Hakimi. He leaves belongings behind. Hakimi dismissed me without affording me the opportunity to explain myself, but he overlooked one thing. My memory retains everything. Maya extended her hand slowly. Jamal placed the key into her palm, and she closed her fingers around it. The cool metal felt distinct against her skin. Should you utilize this, Jamal stated in a low tone, you can bring to completion what he initiated when he demeaned you. You can expose the truth he has concealed for years. Maya opened her hand and looked at the key once more. Her fingers felt light, yet her heart carried a greater weight. This is perilous, she whispered. Jamal nodded. Indeed, it is, and I will not compel you. However, I cannot undertake this endeavor alone. My strength has waned. My daughter is devastated. My wife is apprehensive. I am weary of witnessing wickedness prevail. Maya raised her eyes. A slow breath filled her chest. She regarded Jamal with a resolve she had not previously recognized within herself. I will not abandon this, she declared softly. I cannot. Jamal's eyes softened with relief. They conversed for nearly an hour. Jamal detailed the lawyer's apartment location in Manhattan. He outlined the security measures. He specified the times the lawyer would be away. Every piece of information felt weighty yet clear. Maya listened attentively. Each word began to shape a plan in her mind. As the meeting concluded, Jamal looked at her one final time. "Be cautious, Maya. Hakimi will obliterate anyone who dares to oppose him. He will not cease until he emerges victorious." Maya nodded. She felt fear, yet she also experienced something more potent. "I am aware," she whispered, "but I am not the same woman I was 2 days ago." As she walked away, her steps felt assured. The night air caressed her skin. She clutched the key tightly in her hand, sensing its cool substance. Each step she took felt like an immersion into something significant, something fraught with danger, something that held the potential to alter everything. Upon arriving home, she found her mother already asleep. Maya sat once more at her kitchen table. She placed the key before her and studied it. The small metal artifact possessed a palpable power. It was a gateway leading to the truth about a man who believed he commanded all. She gently touched the key with the tips of her fingers. She recalled the hall, the laughter, Hakim's smile. She remembered Yara's suffering. She thought of Jamal's daughter, and she considered every woman who bore her pain in silence. She whispered quietly, "This time, the silence will shatter." The subsequent day proved to be lengthy. She trained with Rita once more, pushing her physical limits beyond the previous day. Rita observed her with concern. "You appear different," Rita remarked as Mia lifted another weight. Mia exhaled slowly. "I have a purpose now," she replied. Rita nodded. "Then hold fast to that purpose." Following their gym session, Mia commenced her shift at the hotel. She cleaned corridors, wiped tables, and maneuvered her cart from one room to another. Individuals passed by without direct acknowledgement, yet she no longer felt insignificant. Secretly, she carried something powerful in her pocket. That evening, Maya spread a notebook across her kitchen table. She began compiling a list. Names, times, locations, every detail she had retained from her conversation with Jamal. She wrote with deliberate slowness, carefully considering each step. Her mother softly called her name from the living room. Maya went to her, sat beside her, and held her hand. Her mother offered a faint smile. "You seem strong today," her mother murmured. Maya smiled tenderly. "I am endeavoring to be." Later that night, as city lights twinkled beyond her window, Mia returned to the table. She held the key again. This small, cool object felt like a pivotal turning point. "I will not allow apprehension to impede me," she whispered, because the day she re-entered Hakimi's sphere would mark the dawn of truth's ascent. The evening of the charity event unfolded gradually, as if the entire metropolis sensed an impending significant occasion. Maya stood before her modest mirror, inhaling and exhaling deliberately, her hands resting gently on her abdomen. She wore a simple black dress she had fashioned herself, unpretentious, understated, merely clean and dignified. She adjusted her hair, smoothing it back, then repositioned the delicate chain around her neck, a memento from her mother years ago. Her mother observed her from the living room, her eyes conveying tenderness. "You look lovely," her mother whispered. Maya offered a gentle smile. "Thank you, Mama." Internally, however, her heart felt resolute, not out of a desire for notice, but because she had a mission to fulfill, one that transcended her personal distress. She slipped on her shoes, gathered her small purse, and bestowed a kiss upon her mother's forehead. "Quote," she whispered. Her mother nodded slowly, her hand conveying firm support. Quote, "1. Stepped out into the night air. The sky was shrouded in darkness, and the streets shimmered with artificial illumination. She walked to the curb and awaited her prearranged transportation. When the vehicle arrived, she entered quietly. The driver maintained silence. Maya gazed out the window as the cityscape receded. She sensed each mile drawing her closer to the opportune moment she had been preparing for since Hakim's mockery. As the car reached the entrance of the Plaza Hotel, the vicinity teemed with luxury vehicles and elegantly attired individuals. Security personnel stood at attention, and cameras captured flashes from various vantage points. Maya alighted with measured grace. Her heart did not race. It simply beat with quiet fortitude. Within the ballroom, soft music filled the air. Patrons circulated with beverages in hand, engaging in conversations about matters of little consequence to her. The grand chandelier above glittered, as if in competition with all below. Maya entered with steady strides, her head held erect. She scanned the room. Then she saw him. Hakimi stood near a group of businessmen, a familiar pride evident in his smile. He was impeccably dressed in a pristine white suit, exuding the confidence of a man who felt the world remained firmly in his grasp. He didn't notice Maya initially, but as she began to approach him, heads slowly turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd, some pointed, a few let out soft gasps as recognition dawned. It was only when she was mere feet away that Hakimi finally saw her. His smile gradually vanished, his eyebrows drawing together. He gazed at her as if she were an apparition he never anticipated encountering again. Maya halted directly in front of him, and the room's hum of conversation softened. Some guests ceased their discussions. Others subtly raised their phones. Hakimi managed a strained, nervous chuckle. "Look," he said, his voice betraying his unease. "I didn't think you would take that foolishness seriously." Maya maintained a composed tone. "You said 30 days, she responded evenly. "And you declared it for all the world to hear." The atmosphere around them grew heavy. Hakimi swallowed. "It was meant as a joke," he stated. Maya retrieved her phone from her bag and presented it. "It's not a joke to the 2 million individuals who witnessed it," she said quietly. The onlookers began to converge, their attention fixed on Maya and Hakimi. The striking red dress, like a centerpiece, was illuminated at the ballroom's heart, gleaming under the lights. Hakimi's expression tightened. "What do you want?" he inquired sharply, his voice barely a whisper. Maya shifted slightly and inclined her head. At that precise moment, Yara emerged from the cluster of people and advanced. Then came Na. Following them were Sarah and Lena Hassan. Each woman proceeded with measured, deliberate steps, their gazes unwavering. They formed a small semicircle around Maya. Hakimi's eyes widened significantly upon seeing Lena. "You too," he stammered, his voice trembling. Lena met his gaze, her eyes reflecting years of accumulated hurt. "I cannot remain silent any longer," she said softly. A wave of gasps swept through the room. Maya then raised her hand, gesturing toward the expansive screen typically used for charity presentations. Jamal had, with meticulous care, coordinated everything with the event staff. The screen flickered once before illuminating brightly. Emails, financial transfers, and words directly from Hakimi's own messages appeared. Some attendees covered their mouths, others eagerly reached for their phones to record. A profound, poignant silence descended upon the ballroom. Subsequently, an audio recording commenced. Hakimi's voice, clear and distinct, resonated through the space. "If she does not accept the deal, destroy her name. I don't care how. Just do it." Hakimi's face became ashen. He looked around, disoriented, seeking assistance, but none materialized. Maya spoke again, her voice calm and firm. "You attempted to subjugate many women. You inflicted pain because you believed they lacked power. But you were mistaken. That time has passed." Hakimi slowly shook his head. "You don't comprehend," he whispered, his voice quivering. Maya looked directly at him. "I understand more than you realize. And tonight, the truth will not remain concealed." Security personnel began to draw nearer. A man in a dark suit discreetly addressed Hakim. "The police wish to speak with you, sir." Hakim stumbled backward, his legs unsteady. He met Maya's gaze once more, but this time his expression conveyed fear, not the former pride. He was slowly escorted away, the relentless flashes of cameras illuminating the room as he vanished through the doors. Once he was gone, the room erupted into a cacophony of voices. Some offered subdued applause, others wept. Many approached Maya, gently touching her arm, expressing their gratitude and admiration for her bravery. Maya, however, did not smile. She simply inhaled and exhaled, feeling the oppressive weight lift from her shoulders. Yara placed a hand on her shoulder. "You accomplished it," she stated. Mia shook her head gently. "We did it," she replied. Later that evening, Maya returned to her residence. She changed into familiar, simple attire and sat at her kitchen table. Her mother entered, moving cautiously with the assistance of her cane. "How did it go?" her mother inquired. Maya clasped her mother's hand. "It is concluded, Mama." Her mother offered a soft smile, tears welling in her eyes. In the ensuing days, the news reverberated across the nation. Hakimi was apprehended, his corporate empire crumbled, investigations were launched, his victims found solace and support, and Maya emerged as an emblem of quiet fortitude. 3 months later, Maya stood upon a stage, adorned in a dress of her own design. A simple, honest, and pure red gown. She accepted her diploma from the Jefferson School of Arts. The hall erupted in applause. Approaching the microphone, she declared, "I learned that my value is not determined by a dress, a job, or a cruel moment. My worth is my own, and no one can seize it unless I permit them." As she departed the stage, a young girl approached her. "You gave me courage," she whispered. Maya embraced her tenderly. "That is why I persevered," she said, "to help someone else find their footing." And as Maya walked home later that evening, she passed the very places that once embodied her suffering. This time, she traversed them without apprehension, without shame, without a lingering burden, for she was no longer the woman they had mocked. She was the woman who had painstakingly reconstructed her life, piece by piece, until her truth transcended their cruelty. To our cherished viewers, this narrative has illuminated that while adversity can push one down, courage possesses the power to lift them back up. And paradoxically, those individuals whom the world endeavors to silence often carry the very truths that can instigate profound change. In the eyes of many, Maya was merely a maid. Yet she adamantly refused to permit shame to define her. She steadfastly refused to allow fear to impede her progress. And she demonstrated to the entire world that every human being is deserving of respect, irrespective of their occupation, stature, or background. If this account has resonated with your heart, kindly share your location and disclose what insights you have gleaned from Maya's transformative journey. Your voice holds significance for us, and your words offer solace to others who may be navigating similar adversities. We kindly request that you like, subscribe, and share this story with someone in need of strength today. Should you desire more emotionally resonant narratives such as this, please convey your story ideas in the comments, and you will be among the first to receive our next touching tale. Before you depart, I wish to pose 3 questions for you to address in the comments section. Firstly, have you ever experienced judgment based on your appearance or profession? Secondly, which aspect of Maya's journey has imparted fresh understanding regarding strength? Thirdly, do you believe every individual warrants a second opportunity to rebuild their life? Thank you for accompanying us. Your presence is deeply valued, and we eagerly anticipate sharing our next story with you.